And then I saw Polly go flying in the building.
Yes.
That didn't make me too happy. But they explained to me that the bird's life like that, a movie star, they spend their times a lot traveling from show to show, and they're in small little cages, and that's where they remain. And so I made a vow to my bird that if I could find him a better home, I would. And so now it's been, what, 13, 14 years, and
yeah.
Not going to happen.
Well, you found a better home. It just happened to be yours.
Yes. But it really takes adjustment getting used to a bird that is so demanding on time, you know?
That's her baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Socrates is my baby too.
Yeah.
One of my babies. My daughter would probably like to know that she comes first. Don't say anything.
We've had some incidences with the bird. One time, the bird just flew on his chest and just went for his face, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, I've had the lip bite too.
It's just
One of the things about getting to know your bird is all birds are wild. They're not domestic pets. Cats and dogs have been domesticated for thousands of years. Birds were brought into this country, I think, early 1900s. So as a species, these are wild animals that we happen to have living with us.
Yeah.
And for instance, with Socrates, I learned very painfully that he's afraid of dust rags. While I was dusting his cage, and he pulled a layer of skin off my forefinger.
Oh,
So,
no. Dust rags.
I learned that lesson, and
Yeah.
you know, a large part of bird ownership, and especially big bird ownership, is learning their cues and their signals.
I can't tell. Can he fly, or is he
Yeah.
wing clipped?
So
well,
Soc's
no,
wings are
he's-
trimmed.
Yeah, I mean, they're...
Which I should explain for anybody listening. A wing trim for birds is painless and temporary. It's when you take the flight feathers. These are the feathers on the outside that grow long and provide lift for the bird. It's when you trim these, and you can see this one is half grown back in.
Yes.
This one's grown all the way back in. You trim them just enough so that your bird still has balance and can catch themselves if they fall, but not so much that they can get lift and fly away. And any avian vet and any Mickaboo volunteer should be able to show you how to do a wing
Our
trim
bird
right.
doesn't have its wing clips, and it flies all over the house occasionally. But it prefers, I can tell, to walk around or just not fly, climb around.
Yeah.
I think that's the last resort if he gets spooked or something.
If they get
then he
spooked, they
takes
fly. And we do see a lot of bird injuries from flighted indoor birds. You have to be very careful if your bird is flighted indoors when they're allowed out of their cage. If you're boiling water for spaghetti, we have had birds come to us with scalded feet because they were on their owner's shoulder like always, and the owner was cooking, and it had never been a problem until that day. But then they got startled by a breeze rattling the window blinds, and they happened to land in the pot.
Oh.
So, we work with all our volunteers and adopters about knowing the dangers of those sorts of things.
What kind of bird should people think twice about before they're going to adopt a bird? Is there certain
Maybe
types that
particular
are best
bird?
for somebody
Particular-
new?
The best answer I can give you on that is that all birds are a bird you should think twice about bringing into your home. Not necessarily in a bad way, though. It's just that you should always carefully consider before you bring a bird in what kind of commitment you're getting into.
And how long they
and
live.
how long. Even budgies, the littlest parakeets, they're sold for $20 in pet stores as kind of disposable pets. If you take good care of them, they're a 16-year commitment. Cockatiels can live up to 35 years. And for me, Socrates, especially since I got him young, he is a 70 or 80-year commitment.
Wow.
I'll be leaving him to my daughter in my will. And it's going to serve her right, too.
Does she handle him?
She loves Socrates. She's
so
only
she-
3.5, so we don't let them play together for safety reasons yet. But if he's with me like he is now, he'll let her
She'll
pet
come
him.
over and
Oh,
pet
yeah.
him, and that's fine.
And she loves to feed him his favorite treats, peanut butter, apples.
I had heard that not to feed parrots peanut butter, but our bird loves peanut butter.
Loves peanut butter.
Peanut butter is not so bad. It's fatty. It's a cake for birds, so it shouldn't be a primary diet. Chocolate is incredibly toxic, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
and I heard avocados.
Avocados,
I
cherry
don't know
pits.
why. Cherry
Most of the
pits.
pits in fruits. On our website, we have a reading room, and we have a list of all of the toxic fruits that will hurt a bird, and chocolate and things like that. So.
Oh, so
and other kinds of house plants as well.
Mickaboo has a lost and found on its website. I'm sure that's something you put together for 'em?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured. Do you have any success stories with the lost people finding lost birds?
You know, just recently we've had about 3 or 4 success stories where a bird got posted to our lost and found, and the person who lost the bird called us and we posted it, and then someone else who had found a bird says, hey, you know, the bird I found looks just like your description on the website. And
wow.
I think we've reunited about 3 birds in the last month with their original
That's
homes.
great.
Because our bird got out one day, out the door and down the block. And then flew back and landed in the neighbor's tree. And of course, fortunately, it came right back. Once I got over there, it came right back down, and she grabbed him. I had to climb up the tree. And then
you did. And that's very common when people lose a domestic bird that doesn't fly often. They can fly up, but they really haven't got it in them to fly back down. They'll get stuck in a tree. It's amazing that you'll have to get a ladder to get a bird out of a tree, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if they're not very practiced, it happens.
Did.
You know, our lost and found is kind of a last resort. We give people plenty of tips and tricks on how not to get the bird lost. But it happens to everybody, you know. You can have your bird for 30 years, and then your screen door rusts and falls off the hinges and scares them, and they're out the door. So,
ours has had several close calls, but you know they're strong. They don't look strong, but birds are very resilient and strong, and I guess they have to for survival.
I think the way to put it is that they appear very resilient and strong. Birds are a prey species.
Yes.
And birds are built from the ground up to not show that they're weak. They hide illnesses until the very last moment, and then they crash.
They hide illnesses.
They hide illnesses because in the wild, your flock, right? If there's a hawk looking to pick one of you out of the flock, it's going to look for the sick one.
Yeah.
And so birds they're custom built to hide the fact that they're sick.
I have actually, in fact, I took pictures, but I wouldn't show them, but I do have pictures of, I guess it was a blue jay, killing a bird that obviously was weak. And it wasn't his species, it was another type of bird. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this. But speaking of well-being, do you have any general warnings about a bird's well-being and light conditions?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize about birds is that, like people, they get a lot of their vitamin D requirement from natural sunlight. And like people, if you deprive yourself of vitamin D, birds tend to get a little bit depressed and saggy and sad. And, you know, like cockatoos, the sensitive birds will start to self-mutilate if they get depressed. So we do recommend that people put their birds near windows with natural light often. If you have a bird like Sock that will tolerate a feather tether, which is a kind of a leash and harness for birds, he loves to go out on walks. Safe walks on a leash. But there's also, even if you don't have good windows for it, there are also certain brands of full spectrum lighting you can buy that provide that vitamin D. And
just like for your plants.
Just like for your plants.
Just like for your plants.
Our bird, we take him outside and he runs in his little house. We've put a house because, you know, they like
when the cats go by.
Just like children, it can be frustratingly difficult.
Doesn't seem to like the sun, in fact. But it was today, she came in, she says, you wouldn't believe it, he was out actually sunning himself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time birds are just like kids. They don't want to do what's good for them if you want them to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that if I really wanted him to do something right now, that's the last thing he'd want to do.
Tell us about
Mickaboo.
Mickaboo, not Boo.
That's the new one for me.
Mickaboo is the new one. One of our volunteers is really passionate about dove and pigeon rescue. There are a lot of issues with doves and pigeons, and they're bred as pets or food, and then when released into the wild, they have the same weaknesses as parrots in that they don't know how to survive in the wild if they've been raised by hand. She is very passionate about dove and pigeon rescue. Mickaboo is still primarily a parrot rescue. But when Elizabeth wanted to get heavily involved in dove and pigeon rescue, we talked with her and we said, look, there are a number of things like websites and databases and phone lists and things like that that are difficult to do on your own. And we worked it out with her that Mickaboo, her baby, fundraises for themselves. We don't mix the two pots of money. And they find foster homes and approve fosters for themselves, but they are Mickaboo. They are a wing of Mickaboo.
How long has that been going on?
A few years, I think.
A few years.
They've had quite a few good successes, too.
I didn't know that. Well, we have time for a couple favorite stories that you have on Mickaboo. Any success stories?
I have a couple I brought with me.
Okay.
The first success story I have, I don't have a picture because it happened very recently. And we consider this the best kind of success story because a woman came to us and said that she needed to surrender her parrot. She'd had some life changes. Her husband had been sick. And there were some things that were incompatible with the family now. The bird was a screamer and it was getting very depressed. And she couldn't take that anymore. And that's neither of those birds. One of the things we try to do is not take in a bird that if we think we can keep it with its original family. And one of our volunteers, one of the bird behaviorists I mentioned, worked with her specifically to help her adjust herself to the bird's behaviors and adjust the bird's behaviors. There are some shockingly simple things you can do. For example, a lot of the time when there's a husband and a bird and a wife and the bird hates the wife and loves the husband, you'll find that the bird's cage is taller than the wife but shorter than the husband. In the wild, the top bird in the tree is the bird not getting pooped on. They're the boss. So the bird really perceives themselves to be the boss. When the husband goes away, the bird's the boss. And so, for example, sometimes you can just saw the legs off the cage and put the bird down lower, and that can make a big difference in the dynamic.
Oh, that's funny.
So our behaviorist worked with her, and she did not have to surrender her bird. They are happy again, and that's a huge success.
We're running kind of short of time here, but what about this guy?
That's Rooster. He is a success story. His original owners found themselves living in a hotel, and the hotel owners said, nope, you can't have this loud monster in our hotel. And they pushed his cage and him out to a dumpster and abandoned him. And a good Samaritan nearby heard him calling for help. You can hear an umbrella cockatoo from about probably 3/4 of a mile away.
Wow.
And they went out and got him and gave him some seed, which is incredibly bad for birds, but it is survival food at that point.
Yeah.
They called us and we rescued him. And last I heard from our cockatoo coordinator, I think he was just recently adopted. And he has a happy home.
And he looks a lot better than he does
better,
in this picture, which I don't even.
He missed his original family and situation, but he is very happy where he is.
I'm so happy.
That's Sirius. Sirius, that's her after photo, and she is a gorgeous little bird.
Yeah.
Someone found her in the street, incredibly bruised and bloodied, and almost dead. She had some kind of toxin that she'd ingested while she was out. Probably a lost bird, probably attacked by a predator of some sort and got away. After a long series of veterinarian appointments and some loving care by her foster home, she has also been adopted as of a few weeks ago.
Well, I know that you have a ton of stories there that you could tell us, and I wish we had time for more, but...
We have on our website a list of all 1,500 success stories.
Oh,
wow.
1,500. Wow.
Every bird that we've rescued that we had written a bio for goes into a success stories page on our website.
Did you write that? Did you have to do all?
Well, we have people writing the bios. I wrote the little database hook that lets a bunch of volunteers put bios in the same place. But on our website, we have every available bird and all the success stories listed that you can browse through.
So, folks, go on the website, check out these stories. Just like reading a book, right? There's a lot of good information on that website about bird care. And if you're lucky enough to have a bird in your life, take good care of it, all right? Thanks for watching the show, and watch again.